Do you guys want to go from this wide open timber to thick cover like this? Welcome back to episode 2 on this series on how to improve your property, guys. This is going to be an amazing series. I told you that I would be uploading over the next several weeks, several months to show you how to improve your property. Today's video is all about opening up that canopy. That first episode was about the evaluation. The evaluation that we looked at on episode 1. It'll be linked to this video. You can watch that to check it out, but it's wide open timber. You do not want wide open timber to hold and attract deer. You need thick areas like this as you see on screen. This was a ridgetop at my farm in Pennsylvania that I did some cuttings on about 3 years ago. It's a ridgetop. It's about an acre or so, maybe acre and a half. I just kept cutting. You see all this woody browse in there, this regeneration, soft mass, hard mass, full of moisture content, woody regeneration on stump sprouts from the flush cuts we made. You can see the canopy here. It's opening up. Really, technically, I still need to open this up more, but this is a good starting point on the property because it's working. It held, tracked lots of deer. It's feeding deer and so forth. And you see here, the whole goal in this is opening it up maybe 40, 50, 60% canopy to get that sunlight to the ground. And from flush cutting, you'll get the stump sprouts. Hinge cutting, you'll get the sprouts. But even just from the sun hitting that ground, you'll get, all them dormant seeds, regenerating. And, this is kind of what it looked like in the summertime. And then in the next clip, I'll show you, this was after, we did some cuttings in April about 3 years ago. This on screen now is after the first year. So this was like February that following year. You see the regeneration there. This was a travel corridor that we made with just some hinge cutting that wrapped around the thicker part of the bedding area that we made. And here, you can see that it's still regenerating, but we are getting some regeneration after that first year of cutting. And that's the goal, guys, because if you have wide open timber and deer can see 100, 200, 300 yards, there's no reason for him to go there. He doesn't need to go in there because he can see that far. He can see right on the other side, so there's no reason for him to visit. So you need an area that's thick that causes him to maybe walk 20 yards, eat some browse, eat some woody browse, eat some leaves, fresh buds off the sprouts. Move another 20 yards, look around, move another 20 yards, move another 20 yards, move 50 yards. What that does is also give you more opportunities to shoot him because that deer is now on your property for longer periods of time. That's the goal. You're not holding deer 24/7 on your property, guys. Don't believe that myth. The goal is to hold them for longer periods of time. If it's an extra half hour, extra hour, whatever it is, but it gives him a reason to move through your property and spend more time because there's actual food. Then you can get into the design of it to where you have this thick cover that's close to food. Now all of a sudden you have the thick cover where deer could potentially bed. Then you have travel routes out to, say, a food plot. That's where this comes in handy. Now you can get somebody to do this for you. You can do it. If you've never done it, it's best to hire somebody. I can do it. I have a couple guys that come in. We can do some cuttings. Now, if it's a large area, it might be best to get a forester, in to evaluate the timber to get some, revenue back from it, some income. We can help you with all that as well. But, hinge cutting creates travel routes like you see here. But this is the biggest hurdle when I do consulting is, landowners don't want to cut the timber. And I always tell them without cutting that timber, you're never going to see the true benefits of your property. Because you have to open it up. You have to create that thick cover logs on the ground to cause those deer to spend more time and have food. Food is the goal in all this, and without that, if you don't have food, you're not going to have sunlight. It takes that sunlight to create the food. So I can easily tell on your property if you don't, I can tell by the canopy, you're not going to have enough food. And it's all part of that evaluation, that I showed you in episode 1. You cannot be scared to cut the timber. Now you should be, scared because it's dangerous, but not because, it looks good or you like the trees or whatever. If you want true deer habitat, you have to open up the canopy. You have to create that sunlight to get down to the forest floor to create this regeneration, guys. I promise you it'll make a huge difference. This next clip here, look at this buck here. This buck we called 210. This was on the same ridgetop that I just showed you with all the regeneration. I ended up shooting this deer. He spent a lot of time he spent on that ridge after cutting, and I ended up shooting him during the rut right here, or sorry, during rifle season, which he was also chasing the doe. So this was a bunch more bucks on that property. So if you want to transform your property, watch episode 1 on the evaluation, and then we can get into some cuttings. And this is what you can have on your property, guys. It just takes a little bit of work and a little bit of sunlight. And you guys can click this video right here. This will take you back to episode 1 in case you missed it. Also, make sure you subscribe so you do not miss this series over the next few weeks and over the next few months. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.